Conference realignment drama is in full swing right now, and with Florida State kind of at the center of it all, the future is looking a little uncertain right now. Will it be the Big Ten or the SEC? Now, I've heard a lot of speculation over the last few weeks, and we're hearing more and more every day. New information seems to come to light every few minutes. But there's been some updates from Florida State's side of things, and a few things that you guys may have missed recently that I definitely think we need to talk about. But first, do me a favor. If you're watching, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton, helps us keep doing videos just like this. We like to jump on here multiple times a week to talk recruiting, obviously conference realignment stuff, anything and everything Florida State football. So if you're a diehard fan, this is where you want to be. Again, we appreciate it. Now let's get down to it. It seems that Florida State was the talking point for essentially every conference's media days. Obviously the ACC, but also the SEC, the Big Ten, and even the Big 12 somehow. There's been a lot of Hollywood, right, for lack of a better term, a lot of legal jargon and poker faces. One, to avoid a lawsuit, and two, to keep negotiations in your favor. We flat out heard quotes that neither the Big Ten or the SEC are interested in adding FSU. Now, I know you guys would call me a homer, delusional, and all that stuff, and that's fine. It helps the engagement anyways, but just like in the last video we did talking about all this stuff, I'd encourage you not to take everything that gets said at surface value. For example, when Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, comes out and says that he's not involved with recruiting other schools, when he says that we're not going to take our pie and slice it into more pieces. For whatever reason, everybody took that as the SEC isn't interested. Of course he shouldn't want to slice their pie into more pieces. That's how shares get diluted. That's how you become the ACC. That's how you end up being the exact thing that everyone's trying to get away from. He'd be a bad commissioner if he let that happen. Now, if the SEC were to add FSU, they would absolutely be able to raise something with ESPN to get paid more, especially if Clemson tagged along. No one expects him to dilute the other 16 teams they have, but I think bringing in Florida State along with more revenue is very much on the table, and there's really no reason it shouldn't be. Now, I know I'll get all the brainiacs saying how logistically the SEC doesn't need or want Florida State. Florida State turned down the SEC decades ago, blah, blah, blah. And even the haters will try to convince themselves that Florida State isn't desirable. Guys, we could be rivals and still acknowledge that Florida State brings in a ton of viewership and a ton of dollars to whichever conference they're a member of. Along with Clemson, Florida State has been holding up an entire conference for a long time now. At the end of the day, this is all about money, and Florida State brings in money, period. Now, the Big Ten has always seemed a little more likely for Florida State, and that was further supported this week when it was announced by James Clark, who is the provost and executive vice president of Florida State, that the Noles are working towards getting the AAU accreditation within the next 3 years, while also having over $500 million annually in research expenditures. Now, you may not know what that means, but long story short, being AAU certified is a big deal for Big Ten schools. And Florida State making it a point to not only get accredited, but to voice that publicly, especially right now, seems to be a pretty good sign that they have their sights set on the Big Ten. Now, just like in our last video, we told you guys, the door is always open, and both conferences are still on the table. Again, Oregon and Washington weren't wanted by the Big Ten a year or two ago, and where are they now? This is all a very fluid situation, and it's only guaranteed to change more in the coming weeks and months. Now, as of right now, it's not looking too likely that Florida State will announce their departure by the August 15th deadline in a few weeks, but again, nothing would really shock me at this point. One thing I know for sure is Florida State is getting their ducks in a row to leave, and I still fall in the camp of thinking it will absolutely be one of the SEC or the Big Ten. Let me get your thoughts down in the comments. Tell me which conference you prefer. Go ahead and tell me how I'm an idiot, but while you're at it, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, this is a crazy situation right now, so we may have another video tomorrow about something new that's come to light. So definitely make sure you're subscribed and hit that little bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. We'll be back soon. Go Noles.